It took me 3 tries to get into the Masters. 3 years. Oh my gosh, 3 years of my life. It took me to get into the Masters program. It took me a long time. And then I finally get into the PhD, and I changed my topic, and I changed my supervisor, and I changed my committee. And then 6 weeks before I graduate, I get a brain injury and have to take a 6-month medical leave of absence from the program. Okay, go Cooper. Cooper's just passing through now. And then, long story short, I go back, I finish my degree, and then I decide, it takes me 2 years to make the decision. Am I going to go be an entrepreneur? Am I going to go get a full-time job in... That was Cooper. Oh my gosh. That was Cooper who just moved everything. And then I decide, no, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Every single person I knew shit on my idea. Like, every single person was like, are you nuts? This isn't going to happen for you. You don't know what you're doing. You're not an entrepreneur. Nobody believed in my ideas. One of the very first talks that I gave, there was like 17 people at the bottom of a church. I have given talks over the past like 3-4 years now, from 17 people up to almost 1,000 people now. I've given talks in the middle of clothing stores, in empty recital halls, bottom of church basements, empty hotel rooms, half full hotel conference rooms. You name it, I have given a talk in some place. Some of them are good ones, some of them I learned from, but I'm sort of failing continuously, but I hope that I'm failing up. I hope that I'm learning from my failures, because we talk a lot about that in my workshops, right? Failure is just information. Failure is just information. Hi, Shara. But one of the things that holds us back from taking that risk is that shitty committee in our minds, right? So when we make a mistake, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, we think we are the mistake. When we fail, we think we are the failure. And that internalization is something that the research has shown to be different for men and women. Now, of course, not all men have an abundance of confidence, and not all women suffer from a lack of confidence. But in general, women tend to handle failure differently. We know that men tend to brush off their failures easier than women do. We tend to ruminate. You ruminate, I ruminate. We go over and over and over in our minds, replaying every little thing that went wrong. And it's these moments that then hold us back from reaching out of our comfort zone and trying to take a risk again. I cannot tell you how many colleagues, friends I have that have ideas, fabulous ideas, and they stay in here, and they stay in their office, and they stay on their USB disk, and they stay in their computer, and they don't put their ideas out there because they are fearful. In the book, I talk a lot about the fear, right? So we're afraid of failure. We're afraid of not being liked. We're afraid of being judged, of ridiculed, of being mocked, of being laughed at somebody saying, that idea sucks. Oh, hi, Mimi. We're afraid of making the wrong decision, right? Is it possible because our manager makes us feel bad for making it? Yeah, for sure, Rosalie. Yeah, like a toxic environment can absolutely perpetuate feelings of doubt and really make you second guess yourself and make you scared to make a mistake. Sometimes we work for great managers, and sometimes we work for inspired leaders. And there's a difference between the two. You work for an inspired leader when you already know what's going to happen when you make a mistake, because you have that freedom, you have that breathing room to allow you the grace of making a mistake, learning from it, talking about it, and then it's like failing up. We're afraid of someone saying, I told you so. I told you you'd never do that. I told you that idea was stupid. I told you this business would never work, right? We also fear that our time has passed. It's too late for us. We're too old. We're too young to try this. We don't have enough. We're not smart enough. We don't have the right workspace. We don't have enough money. We don't... This is Cooper. He's joining in. We fear that we don't have the right look, that we can't speak in sound bites, that we're not good at public speaking. So all of these fears keeps us from just pushing out of our comfort zone and trying that new product, idea, service, something, whatever it is that is sort of filling you up. I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but there was this really great quote by Jim Kwik, and he said, oftentimes when we feel burnt out, it's not because we're overwhelmed with the demands of our life, but it's because we have not spent enough time doing the stuff that makes us feel alive. We haven't spent enough time doing the stuff that fills us up. And the stuff that fills us up tends to be the stuff that kind of scares us, right? So for me, every time I give a talk, I still get nervous. Every time I go in front of a crowd of people, I still get butterflies, and I friggin' love it. I love the nervousness. I love the butterflies. I love the sweaty palms. I love the racing heartbeat because it means I'm doing the right thing. It means I'm definitely not in my comfort zone. Even though I love public speaking, I still am trying to learn from it. And so I wanted to talk about what happens when we fail. There's nothing to fear, but yeah, I've heard that one. That is a good one, Mimi. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. So I wanted to talk about some of the things. Oh, hold on, I just dropped my paper. Some of the things that go through our heads when we fail. When you say something that you wish you hadn't in a meeting or whatever, or you thought it was a great idea and then it came out and you're like, oh, it sounded better in my mind. What immediately is coming through your mind? What is that? What are those thoughts coming through your mind? Are you saying, that's okay, you're amazing, keep going? Or are you really saying, fuck, that was stupid, that was a shit, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, why did I say that? When I ask my students, what comes through your mind? What are the first words on replay when you've said something and it wasn't the right answer in class? And it's heartbreaking to hear what they have to say. I'm a loser. Yeah, total self-doubt. I'm a loser. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. I shouldn't have said that. Everyone's laughing at me. Everyone thinks I'm stupid. But the most heartbreaking one is, I'm never going to speak up again. I'm never going to raise my hand again. Because of that fear of what other people are going to think of us, or that fear of, holy shit, I just tried something, got out of my comfort zone, and it failed. I often talk about this example from a class that I taught 2 years ago, and it has stuck with me ever since. It was a summer class, and a summer school class, McMaster, and it was a small class, maybe 50 of us. And hello, who has joined? Laura, hello. And I was asking the class questions, and this one guy, hi Natalie, and this one guy raised his hand, and the answer was wrong, it was off. And I was like, no, that's not the answer. And then he raises his hand again 3, 4, 5 times in a row. I mean, his answers were so off the mark, like way off. I was like, what? Like, are you sure you're in this class? Because your answers are like so off, right? I was like making a joke. And his classes were, or his answers were wrong. He raised his hand in that 3-hour lecture 12 times. 12 times he had the wrong answer. And then he said out loud in front of everybody else, you know what? Let's go 13 for 13. What? When have you ever heard a woman publicly fail 13 times in a row and then call attention to herself and say, you know what? It's fine. It's all good. I'm going to give it a try. That blew my mind because, I mean, that was an extreme case. He answered 13 questions incorrectly in front of 50 people, and it was nothing for him. And I will have women in a meeting or in a classroom afraid to answer a question one time and get it wrong. And you know what happened? At the end of that class, I knew his full name. I knew who he was, where he was on his journey to school. I knew where he wanted to be after he graduated. I knew who he was. And yet I found out afterwards in that class that there was a girl in that class on the highest level scholarship you could get. And I didn't know that. She didn't share that. I also found out a girl in that class had published her own anthology of poetry. I didn't know her. She didn't share that. But the guy who was willing to fail 13 times in a row, that's who I knew. And that really sort of stuck with me. And it was because of that moment that I thought, oh my gosh, I have to get these kids, I have to get these students, I have to get these women, I have to get these people out of their comfort zone. Hi, Crystal. Out of their comfort zone and speaking up and advocating for themselves, because it's so